So there's various sources that we use. I gave you the standard ratio, which is fresh herbs, 1 to 2, 75% alcohol. Dried herbs, 1 to 5, 50% alcohol. But there are certain herbs that are not according to the standard occasionally. So one example I mentioned is herbs that are high in resins need a higher concentration of alcohol to dissolve them. Sometimes you want a lower concentration of alcohol for certain things. Like mushrooms, for instance, you're not supposed to go up above 25%. Sometimes certain constituents will precipitate out if you have too high a concentration of alcohol. So there's various sources that we consult when we're going to make a tincture. We usually look at a couple different sources just to see what they say. And if there's no information, then we just go by the standard formula. A very good source is Rich Osek's book, Making Plant Medicine, and he just has a new edition of it out. It just came. It's got a whole bunch more herbs than the previous edition. So this is really an excellent book. It gives you basic instructions for making tinctures, making syrups, vinegar extracts, and so on at the beginning. Herbal oils, salves, and creams, and then the whole back part of the book is herb by herb instructions for what you can make out of each herb. And it gives you the fresh or dried according to what you have. Another very good source is Michael Moore's website. This is Michael Moore, the famous herbalist, not the movie maker. He passed away a few years ago, but I believe his website is still operating, and that's called swsbm.com, Southwest School of Botanical Medicine. So what Michael did is copy vast amounts of herb literature from about 100 years ago, the eclectics, and he put that all up on his website. So all the formula books, the U.S. Pharmacopoeia from 1900, you know, you get back 100 years and medicine was herbal medicine. So the drugstores were doing the same process that we just demonstrated. And if you can find them, some of these old textbooks, this is my Remington's Practice of Pharmacy. This is from 1916, I believe. There's extremely elaborate directions and shows you all the apparatus. If they're in good shape, these books are really expensive, but this Principles of Pharmacy I picked up for 10 bucks used, just because it's got a lot of underlining in it. Now, I don't care if it's got underlining in it. But here's a whole page of fluid extracts in the National Formulary, and it's just running down Adonis, Eletris, Angelica root, Apocynum, Aurelia, Arnica, and for each one of those it's telling you which process to use. It's saying alcohol 3, water 1, alcohol 2, water 1, you know, so the percentage of alcohol and other details and the ratios are given for a lot of the herbs. So this was all worked out herb by herb 100 years ago. So that's another approach. As I said, Michael Moore's got a lot of this information on his website, and he's also got on his website a Materia Medica, which is usually the first thing that I look at, because it has more herbs than any other source that I've found. And he tells you the preferred method of extracting it. Some things he'll say cold infusion. You know, don't tincture it at all. Just put it in cold water or hot water. Some things he'll say a fluid extract. Others he'll give you the fresh. And he's very good on telling you whether fresh is preferred or dried is preferred. Fresh is not always better. There are a few herbs like wild yam that you definitely want to let them dry out before you tincture them. You get rid of some components that you don't really want. So that's good, swsbm.com. And another book that we use, we reference, although it doesn't have as many herbs, this is a very good book giving general instructions on making tinctures and lots of other things. Herbal Medicine Making Handbook. by James Green. So these are your two contemporary sources. And Richo actually has a lot more herbs. Green has a lot more processes and more instructions, but he only works with like 50 different herbs. Richo has more. And then you can just look at various catalogs. There's a company called Herbal Vitality that I picked up recently, and it's got 5 pages of the tinctures they make, and they tell you the strength, 1 to 5, ethanol, 30%. So they've got both the ratio and the percentage, the two numbers you need. Not all companies will give you that information, but it's nice when they do. So we just, remarkable how little agreement there often is. There's certain herbs where one of these sources will say use 70% alcohol, and the other same herb, the different sources saying, oh, you only need 25% alcohol. Where they're getting these numbers, I don't know. But I showed you all of the sources that I look at, and so we just try and hopefully find some kind of consensus between the various numbers that people suggest.